It's Friday the 3rd, June 2022, and it's about it's 1:38 p.m. and we're reading this book here, Everything You Need to Know About American History, and yeah, and we're now.
We have many more.
Okay. All right, now let me ask you some questions on what we've covered. We're now on the Renaissance period. First of all, before we get into that, what did we learn in the previous chapters? What did you learn in the previous chapters that we started? It was about the American Indians, the Native Americans,
and the nomadic hunter-gatherers.
Where do they come from?
The Bering Land Bridge from Russia and Asia.
Right. And what formed their cultures? They had different cultures. What was it that formed their cultures?
They moved on to different places.
Right. The Inuit was where?
Alaska and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
Right. And they depended upon the frigid climate.
So they built igloos.
They had fields, salmon, whales. And they were completely different from what were some of the Indian tribes in the Midwest. Remember?
The Midwest?
Yeah.
The Dakota, the Cheyenne, the Pawnee, the Apache, the Comanche.
And the Sioux.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm looking
The
up.
Blackfoot.
Yeah, the Blackfoot too. I have it right here. Wait.
Okay, now we're in.
I'm gonna take this off quickly.
All right.
Look
Now we're over in.
The Inuit. They lived in Alaska and Canada,
Right.
but the Aleut just stayed in Canada.
Okay.
Alaska.
All right. Who was the explorer? Who was the explorer that was credited for bringing the 5 S's into Europe? Remember what the 5 S's were? You don't remember that?
I'm going to that page.
He went up into China.
I forgot.
Marco Polo. And he brought, what were the 5 S's?
Spices, silk, and stone. And precious stones.
Right, he was very important.
No, it's the 4 S's.
4 S's, I thought they were 5 senses and 4 S's.
You're
Now
thinking
we're
about
on.
the 5 senses you developed.
Before, around Marco Polo's time, we were still in the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. He was right at the beginning of what period?
Say that again?
They starts with an R.
The Renaissance.
The Renaissance. The Renaissance means, in Latin, what does the Renaissance mean? Something.
Rebirth.
Rebirth. This was the age of Voltaire. This was a period where we saw lots of inventions that made production faster. Like making fabric, textiles, all sorts of things, printing, everything developed. Okay, now,
Let me think of that.
what was
Astrolabes?
the astrolabe, which was used for
Compasses?
astrolabe and compass? The astrolabe was able to, we were able
Says
to,
your astrolabes allow sailors to figure out their location in the sea by measuring the distance of the sun and stars by gauging.
it showed you where you are on a map. And I still can't figure out how they work, but
Even
those guys
watching
were,
a video, I got
those navigators pretty smart. Okay, now we're on Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Let me hear you start reading from there.
1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's what you told me.
Okay, right. Okay, read on.
On August 3rd, 1492, Columbus set out with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. and supplies for 6 months. His crew urged him to turn around after a few months. He kept 2 sets of
Move
logs.
up a little bit and so you have more light. I can't hear you.
A secret one with the real distances traveled and another one with just shorter distances to convince their crew.
Little louder.
Very slowly. Finally, in October, they saw land.
Okay, what kind of ships? There were 2 of those ships were highly maneuverable ships. What are those called?
That darn.
They were both what? Okay, Columbus was on the bigger ship Santa Maria. That was the flagship, but
That was a very slow.
they were caravels.
Yeah, those are the fast.
Right.
So Santa Maria was a ship that had trouble going in the wind, but the caravels, which were the Nina and the Pinta, they had no problem doing that job. They could just go in while Santa Maria was lagging behind.
Okay, so Portugal is where Spain and Portugal is where he set out. Where's Columbus born?
Spain?
No,
Italy?
Italy. Okay. He was financed by Spain.
Oh.
Okay, by the King of Spain. What was the king? Who was the King of Spain who financed him?
Ferdinand.
And his queen was Isabella, wasn't it?
Queen Isabella of Spain.
Right. Okay, now.
King Ferdinand. Yeah.
Okay, read the second paragraph. Read it loudly. They went ashore.
They went ashore in the Bahamas on an island they named San Salvador, or Holy Savior. Columbus made 3 more voyages in search of gold and tobacco and explored Hispaniola, the island of present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Jamaica, and the coast of Central and South America. Many of the people who already lived in those areas were friendly to Columbus and his men when they arrived. The European settlers were more interested in gold and tobacco than in friendship. In general, they enslaved and cruelly treated the native people.
Okay. So you asked me earlier, was Columbus a nice guy, a bad guy?
A bad guy.
Well,
He's very
they were
mean.
all bad guys. That's the thing, not just Columbus. That's the way they were back then. They were not
greedy.
nice
So
people.
they were greedy to take everything off their
What's
land.
another word for greedy?
Avarice.
Avarice, right. They were avarice. Okay. So we now know that Portugal was the main port where they brought in all these things that they used for trading, including people.
Slaves?
And, yeah, they brought in slaves. And the big slave traders we learned earlier were the what people?
Portugal.
No. Who went to Africa to get the bought the slaves from the natives, brought them into Portugal?
I can't remember his name.
Muslims, not his name. They were the Muslims.
Oh, I thought it was one of these sailors.
No, they were Arab Muslims.
Yeah.
Now, your mother speaks Swahili. Swahili is a language that came from the Arabic language. Arabic mixed with the native languages of Kenya. So,
And she can speak, I think 3 other languages. English and a couple of other type of African languages.
so when Biden talks about how cruel racist white people are, you never hear him mention that the slave trade was dominated back then by Muslims. They were the ones that went out after the slaves in Africa, after the people in Africa, and brought them back as slaves. You never hear that. You'll find that in history. slave trading was common for thousands and thousands of years. Back in the biblical times, the Jews were slaves. So that was the biggest mistake the United States got into, was when we brought slaves in. It cost us a horrible civil war. Okay, let's read on where it says, read the blue.
Columbus and his crew thought they were in the Indies of Asia, and this is why the Caribbean islands were called the West Indies, and why Native Americans were called Indians.
Okay, now you know why this thing. Columbus thought that he was in the Indies in Asia. He was way off. He was only off by about, 5,000 miles or so?
Okay, Asia over
3,000
here,
miles.
and the Caribbean Sea over here is the West Indies. He's about 30,000 miles.
And I don't know, maybe, who knows, I don't know how far it was. Okay, drawing the line. Well, I'm going to have to stop the video here because I'm running out of time. So we'll go on drawing the line now.